g'day. I'm going to say that in front of the big American in front of me. You're going to start with a g'day. BackChat, _. You know where to find us on socials. Been a big week here in Melbourne for BackChat. We've done some great guests, but I have been looking forward to this one the most. You can find everything we do, backchatpodcast.com.au. You can watch us on YouTube. If you're not watching us and you want to listen, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. Big thank you to all our supporters, our sponsors, Shelter, Whippersnapper, Bluebet, Margaret River Roasting Co., and of course, Leaderville Cameras. You know what to do over that way too. Support the guys that support us. Let's get into this. The big man's in the house. Mason Cox, what's up?
Not much. Thanks for having me, by the way. It's an absolute pleasure to be on. I've listened to a few episodes and
man.
I've got a little dirt on you. I'm not going to lie. I've done a little research. I've heard about some of the stuff you've been talking about me over on the podcast. So I've got we'll get into it. But it's we'll just leave a bit of teaser there for the people to listen into.
Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. All right, I like it. I didn't actually expect anything less from you because I've been watching your work as well. Very impressive stuff over at the Mason Cox Show. I've got to be honest. Pat McAfee Show, Mason Cox Show.
Yeah, I think we're on the way. We're on the way to the Pat McAfee Show. No, the Mason Cox Show, new podcast. Obviously, kind of, I feel like podcasters support each other in the same industry, and everyone kind of loves doing the same thing. So, yeah, check it out. It's on all the socials, the Mason Cox Show for the 5 socials, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah.
The 5. I'm sure y'all are on the 5 too, I'm sure. But
you're not doing sport as much. It's a bit more lifestyle-y for mine at the moment.
Yeah, there's a little bit of sport. We do like a person every single week, and then the next week we'll do a catch-up on the newsworthy stuff, and then we'll do another interview the next week and just kind of space it out that way. But we're doing all kinds of different things. So we've had people like Matt Preston on, Dill Buckley's another podcasting person, and Peter Hellier. And then we're about to have Nat Medhurst on for Narrowly Meadows, not Nat Medhurst. I'm thinking about yours, actually. I was listening to that earlier today.
Good.
But no, we're about to have Narrowly Meadows on as the next one. So she'll be the first person actually we talk about sport too, which would be cool.
That'll be good.
Sweet.
Did you talk about Strawny with...
We did. You should people should check it out. I actually made up a person. I'll wear a cowboy hat and a wig, full mullet,
name?
sunnies on.
What's the name?
We haven't figured it out yet. I liked Cletus. I don't know if Cletus is one you guys would like, but if you want to throw out a name for what a ridiculous redneck or bogan cowboy would be,
Cletus is
good.
iconic.
Cletus is right there.
All right.
Did you know any Cletuses in
Texas? No, I haven't met one yet. There's a few kind of alter egos that were named Cletus, so I think it kind of works well.
The first question we ask every guest. Now, the reason I don't know if I've seen too many interviews with a couple of players that played off in the grand final to talk about the grand final. So we will get to that in 2018. But before we get there, and a bit about your journey, we've got a question we ask every guest off the top of the show. Now, you've done some great things. You've learnt to play a new sport here in AFL. You've played in grand finals. You've been best on in a prelim. We know everything you've done for the Collingwood Football Club. And although we respect it, we're here to tell you to start with, we don't really care. We want to ask you...
You've probably brought your premiership medal just to really dig it in, haven't you?
I did.
Just really...
I did not do that, but I did say...
So you're regretting it now.
I would just say it would have been the final nail in the coffin if you came out with any. But I want to know your greatest sporting achievement, not on the football field. We've seen what you've done there. What about off the footy field? What's your greatest ever sporting achievement, not as a footballer?
Can I also just throw in?
Yes.
Because I know you're a basketballer as well.
Yeah.
Can we remove basketball from that
I
as
think
well?
that's true.
Oh, that was okay. Well, that takes away my answer then.
No, it doesn't, because I know you played another sport growing up, so maybe go into that realm. We're talking like you can go under nines. You were second best on ground for this, 7th division. I don't know.
I've got it. So in high school,
Yes.
In my senior year, which is the last year of high school, I had the most yellow and red cards recorded for a preseason. I got thrown off the field a few times. Got a stern talking to from my mom and dad, and
What
also
sport?
our coach. Soccer. So I played soccer growing up, and I was ruthless. Like I just would slide tackle people, not even going for the ball. Like it was just straight for the shins. It was like we had a lot of, because it was next to Mexico, so we had a lot of these like little Hispanic kids that would kind of run around and stuff. Like I feel like in like international sport, they roll over and then they've got the spray they need to get out, and like they really play it up whenever they get touched by someone.
Yes.
And I didn't care for that too much, so I would just kind of absolutely demolish them. Like there is a video out on the internet of me. I think this kid might be dead. I'm not really sure, but he was going one way, and it was like one of those things in the AFL. The cheap people, like you've probably had it happen to you from a forward or something, where you're kind of like looking at the ball and you're going back, and then the guy's there, like on the angle, but you're not looking at him. He just hits you. You hit the ground because you're not expecting it.
Yes.
I did that face onto a guy, and he was not paying attention. He was like 16, 14 years old.
Did you run into your hip? Like did his head hit your hip?
It was pretty much, yeah.
Running into a tree trunk.
We won't go where else it might hit, but yes, yeah, we'll go hip.
I'm surprised someone your height not playing goalkeeper. Like, how did you get out on the pitch?
Well, I grew 6 inches in the summer. My year 11 grew 6 inches in the summer, and yeah, that was kind of like the holy snap. You should have probably played basketball, but that was kind of where I just played soccer my whole life, and I said, I'm just gonna finish off playing there. And we played the top leagues in America, and then we played overseas for a bit, did some tournaments over there, which is really cool, and got to travel the world for it, which is awesome.
We love that. Red and yellow cards most in the league. It's a little bit like you in the social netball on a Tuesday night, isn't it, Dan?
You ever got thrown out?
Martha, this like umpire Martha, I don't know what name. It's just like
shout out her name. Like, dude.
She said I was disrespecting her or whatever. I don't know. I was just asking for clarity on.
So she said
yeah,
dissent?
It was literally umpire dissent.
Umpire dissent.
The hot take of the year.
How have you gone with that, mate?
Dude, I've lost my shit multiple times. Who even knows what a high tackle is anymore? Oh, we're worried about people's head high tackles. Now we're not.
What's that like for you, for someone who hasn't grown up playing AFL, to then rules seem to change every week? Definitely every year.
How the hell am I supposed to describe this to someone overseas? Like, how am I supposed to be like, oh yeah, these are the rules and regulations of AFL whenever it changes week by week and person by person?
You have had some moments through your career, just like off the top of my memory here, where it looks like you don't know the rules. Is it because you just literally
there's
never
still sometimes I'm still trying to figure it out. Like I think recently someone had kicked a goal and it like hit the point post.
Yes.
Like the very outer point post. No,
yes.
I thought it was, like going for a point.
Yeah.
No, it's a throw-in. I had no idea. And I was just like rolling back to D50 like, oh, yep, we'll just get the kick in here. And they're like, dude, you got to go rock. I was like, oh yeah, that old chestnut.
I mean, it's just like the concept, for me is equal for me, going over playing NFL maybe, or I don't know, something, probably not even NFL, like a sport, maybe like lacrosse or something. Like I've never seen a game of lacrosse and then rolling in and just being like, okay, now sort yourself out. But also you're like playing in the best division in the country.
Yeah.
Has there been stages, we'll get back to your upbringing in America, but has there been stages where you kind of pinch yourself and you're out there and you're at an elite level of sport here, of something that you never grew up doing?
Oh, dude, can you imagine not knowing and never hearing of a sport, then like 2 months in, you're playing with Scott Pennebury and like training with him?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's just like two opposite ends of the spectrum. Couldn't be more like far apart from each other. And yeah, there was times, like in certain training sessions and like games in those early days in the VFL, like I would do stuff and it was just like the most embarrassing thing. Like there was one time where like I'd given a free kick, it was probably a high tackle knowing me, but give a free kick and the guy was like, throw the ball back to me, and I just like dropped it and was like, you can get it yourself, dude. Then, what do you know, 50 meters? I was like, oh, that's the thing, we have to be polite in football. Got it.
Come with me, please, Mason.
I was like, good stuff,
Get it
mate.
yourself.
A few play on in the goal squares, I got smothered and a few things like that. So I think the best one was it was about a month into training with the boys, and Craig McRae is my first kind of like, coach. And we got to the point, we're in a training session and someone had kicked me the ball and I was like out the back and I was like, 100 meters from goal, but there was no one really there and no one was coming to me. So I just started running like, rugby style. And ran about 50 or 60 meters. And everyone, by the time I got to 20 meters, everyone just kind of stopped. And I was like, oh, sick. Everyone's just, I'm going to kick this goal. I'm the king dick here. And yeah, and then I ran another 30 meters wondering what the hell was going on. I turned around, everyone's like on the floor laughing. I was like, what is it? And then like, I think Bucks was like, Craig, have you not told him about bouncing the ball? He goes, no, we haven't got to that part yet, boys. Sorry. Apologies. We'll look at some film this week.
Oh man, it's just like, it's an amazing concept. Like, and I've certainly respected what you've been doing from afar, but to hear you talk about it, I mean, I can't put it in concept for me. So, okay, so what about back in America? You're going through school, you get into college, Oklahoma State, basketball walk-on. Is there any other sports that you sort of wanted to play professionally? Was basketball an option? Or?
No, basketball's not even a thing. I didn't even start playing basketball until I was 18. I went to university. The only reason I played basketball is everyone in my dorm, which is like, this big building with a bunch of people in it, all males, like a bunch of them had played basketball in high school and they're like, hey, you're freakishly tall, come play with us. And I was like the most gangly, uncoordinated person in basketball. And they're like, just rebound and give it to someone else. And that was like kind of what I did. And then from that, from playing at the local gym and stuff, there was a lady that recognized me, asked me if I want to play for the women's team and do kind of like a bit of the practice with them and stuff. And then the men's team kind of came from that. So that's kind of the story in short. But yeah, I was never a really good basketball player per se. I was good defensively because I was a hard-nosed just prick, but offensively had zero skill whatsoever.
Weren't you matched up on Joel Embiid for about 10 seconds at one stage?
I was. I think I shut him down for about a minute and a half, and that's the highlight of my basketball career. So I keep telling people, well, did he have an injured back and maybe it was like half the size he is now? Yes, but we don't tell those details in the story.
So what's the Australian connection then? If you grow up playing soccer and then into basketball, you're at college in the States, pretty far from playing in the AFL. How do you even...
Oh, dude, it makes no sense. I'd never even heard of Melbourne or Perth, much like Perth. I'd never even crossed my mind.
You still may not even know where that is.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. I think it's a different country after the last 3 years.
Yeah, that's true. Fact. Shout out, Mr. McGowan.
Yeah.
You didn't say that? I did.
But no, I'd only heard of Sydney. So we only knew Sydney really. We knew what Australia was, but Sydney was one of the first kind of places that turned into the New Year. So you kind of see the classic fireworks over the bridge and everything else. And that was kind of what you knew of Australia. And then you just thought everything else was surfers and kangaroos. And that was it. So I played basketball in college and then kind of got towards the end of it. And some guy named Jonathan Giovanni had messaged our media person and said, I've seen you in the NCAA tournament. Heard you switch from soccer to basketball from one sport to another. And I've got these people that are kind of subcontracting me out called the IFL that, want to see if there's talent in the US to see if they can transfer over from their sport to IFL. Yeah. And that's kind of where it all kind of started. And it turned into, I think, Facebook messaging each other back and forth. The guy eventually got my contacts. The NCAA is very strict on who they can talk to from a professional level. So it's kind of...
They've loosened that a little bit of late?
As of late, they have. Yeah. So they've got... you can actually get paid now, I think, which is... We won't go into it because it's absurd if you know anything about the NCAA and how much money they make and how the players don't make any. But
yes.
So that guy essentially got in contact with me and he was just Facebook messaging me back and forth and said, would you be keen to go to LA for free? And I was like, free trip to LA, for a college kid, not going to say no.
Yeah. So what's the first time you pick up a footy? On a basketball court or you're on an oval? You remember
first time I'd ever even seen was, so we went to, it was the first day in LA and we went to this combine out there and got picked up in an unmarked white van and then just went to this random track in the middle of nowhere and there's Karens from Brighton walking around the track and just people playing some adult league soccer in the middle of the track.
Bit of frisbee being thrown around.
Yeah, a bit of ultimate frisbee maybe going on. And everyone's got their stroller kind of pushing on the running track. And they're like, oh, we're going to run a 3K time trial. And I was like, sorry, what? So we did 3K time trial running around these people and had to get timed and everything else. And it was wild. I was like, great first impression, AFL. Great first impression. And then after that, I think there's 30 plus guys and we all just sat there and they gave us a footy and was teaching us, scoop the ice cream and here's the handball and teaching us how to kick was just essentially try to kick the point of it. And none of us, basketball players don't have any hand to foot coordination.
No.
I was the only one there that was probably, and there's another guy, Alec Aricchio, who's now passed away, but he's, him and myself are probably the only two that kind of had experience, I guess, in using our feet in that sense. So, I hope there's footage out there somewhere because it is quite embarrassing for the rest of us. But
do you remember your very first kick? Was that day the first time you had a footy and then kicked it? Do you remember the first time? And you were good, hard.
Everyone there was very surprised. I'll say that. Looking back now, I was shit. Absolutely terrible. But they're you got it to the vicinity of that person, therefore we think you're a good kick. That was how low the expectations were there, I think. Yeah. And there were a lot of it was just trying to get ruckman in, it was more for a ruckman thing rather than probably someone who's going to be super skilled. So there's a lot of kind of running around trying to handball and tap it to people. And then I think one or two guys just got absolutely just murdered in a tackle. And we're all kind of okay, so this is we're going to take this serious now. So It was a unique experience to say the least and a weird intro to AFL.
I've seen a bit of your story and your journey around other podcasts. So I do want to keep moving because I think the dynamic of the 18 chat between you and I is probably what the interesting part's going to be of this. Before we get there though, so you're the tallest player to ever play the game, 2'11".
Yeah.
Is that correct? 2'11". Players' size get thrown around a bit. Are you 2'11"?
It's 212 is I think what they put me down as.
Okay,
I think your boy from Freo, Sandler is 211.4. So this is a whole thing because they're we want this person that's coming over who has zero AFL experience. We want to really pump him up to be something that we've never seen before.
Can't be the second tallest.
Yeah, he can't be the second tallest. That doesn't make headlines. So they put me as 212. Whether I'm 212 or not, I don't know. I haven't really had a
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been to the doctor to get measured.
we need
Plus,
to go
also, if
back
you
to
go
back.
to a doctor, it doesn't go up that high. It goes to like 6'8", so they just trust you.
guess.
They just go, "How tall are you?"
So a game in 2016. I'm rocking up to the ground. We're playing Carlton at the MCG. We drive in. It should be a pretty stock standard experience, and drive in and like get stopped at the gate, and we're there for like 20 minutes. Usually as an AFL team, you come straight in, they check your passes or whatever, and you're straight in. But we're sitting there for 20 minutes, and then kind of can see down the front of the bus. I sit towards the back, and there's this convoy of cars. It's like all these blacked out windows, all these SUVs, all these black cars. And we're playing Carlton, West Coast Carlton. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, who is here?
Kudafides?
Kudafides, he's just brought him in. Anyway, we find out Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, is in the house. It's like, how good. Like, if we're going to showcase something, it's a West Coast Carlton game. You're there. Do you remember that this was a West Coast game?
I'm not going to forget meeting Joe Biden. I was like, the game, don't really remember.
Correct. I mean, it was a great game. West Coast get up by Carlton, close
You
game.
smashed him, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it was close.
Oh, it was
They
close,
came back
yeah.
late and we end up winning. We won. Look, that's all it needs to be known. But you're sitting in the stands with Joe Biden. Have they literally just gone, okay, is there anyone with American affiliation here that we can just sit up next to the Vice President of the United States?
Yeah, they tried to find someone that was going to be able to describe what AFL was, and I still at that point was struggling, I think, and still do today. But the funny thing about that story is my dad actually knew I was going to meet Vice President Joe Biden before I did. So he calls me up like the morning I find out, and he goes, "Are you meeting Joe Biden?" And I was like, not that I know of. I know like the U.S. consulate asked me to get security clearance for someone they were bringing in, but they wouldn't tell us who it was because it had to be very hush-hush, right?
Sorry, what does that involve? Like security clearance?
Yeah, it's like they do a background check and all that kind of stuff, and then they have to give them your passport details, whoever it is, to make sure you don't have a criminal record, essentially.
Okay.
Which I feel like if I did, it would probably be public by then.
Yeah. I wonder if they knew about the red and yellow cards at soccer.
Don't let him
make the
slide
resume.
tackle you, Joe.
Yeah, my dad found out that morning, and then sure enough, the U.S. consulate of Melbourne called me up and said, "Hey, we're going to host Joe Biden. Would you be keen to come to the game?" So, yeah, it was a wild experience. Like I to this day still think that Joe Biden was not here for footy, he did open a hospital in his son's name. I will say that was an amazing thing he did. But I think talking to him and his family, so his granddaughter's there. I think his granddaughters just wanted to see a kangaroo. I'm dead serious. Like they wanted to hold a koala and they wanted to see a kangaroo because at that game they were there. Whole family was there, take the photos and everything else. And like as soon as the game, no offense, mate, but like as soon as the game started, two grandchildren off to Healesville, go to hold a kangaroo. See you later. I was like, oh, where the grandkids go? Because they were like somewhat closer to my age, I was like, I'll chat to them. They're like, oh no, they bounced as soon as the game started. I was like, they're out of here.
He's like, get a kangaroo in here, please. Like, this is not interesting watching the AFL. But Joe sat there for the entire game.
He sat down until 3/4 time. Yeah.
Do you don't have? I mean, I'm assuming you're just not texting Joe back and forth. He's now president of the United States.
No, I wish I would have his number. I don't even think he could. He probably doesn't even have a phone that works.
Trump had one.
Well, Trump's a different person.
He was tweeting every second minute.
That dude was mental. But
what do you even talk about with Joe Biden? Like, are you sitting with him the entire game?
Yeah, for those
like
3/4.
Yeah.
And he came up and talked to a lot of the military people over there because he's got a connection there. And but it was quite nerve-wracking more than anything because you can imagine like the Secret Service that comes with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Like it is a whole. Like you talked about the 20 cars and everything else.
Underneath, the whole place was just surrounded by cars.
So they fly in a plane for him and they fly in a plane for his equipment.
Yeah.
So you gotta think all those cars and everything else go on this big A380, whatever it is, and they fly that over. So it's not like it all comes with taxpayers' dollars in the US, which is wild to think that just for his grandkids to hold a koala, he spent that much money. But it was insane. Like it was kind of chaotic in that sense, but it was almost like nerve-wracking because you saw like whenever he was in there, everyone's getting ready for him to walk in. There's like 50 police officers outside, like Victorian police officers. There's like Secret Service. They're like sitting in the stands, but you're not sure who's Secret Service. Like there's some people, they're just dressed in normal clothes, so you don't know who actually is Secret Service. And there's one guy that's like obvious. He's in the full Matrix trench coat. Yes. He's got the earpiece. He's full on just like he's fully like committed to this whole experience. And
he's Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, he is. He is. Yes, he is. And it's so funny. So he's like the main dog. He's the person. And he's kind of like getting everyone else, and like no one else is allowed to stand up. And Joe Biden has to get out of the stands before anyone else can go and like leave the section. And it's like this whole organizational thing. But I just felt like there was a sniper on me the whole night. Like I just didn't know how to handle.
Do you think there was possibly was?
100%.
Yeah.
I was like hands do like in like certain like airplanes. You've got this like the big question mark of like who gets the armrest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That was me, but I gave it to him. I was like, have as much room as you want, Joe. Just have as much room as you want, buddy.
Just sitting next to Joe, like showing the
I don't
side.
even want to touch him. I don't want to move awkwardly around him. Like, there's
My hands
nothing
are
I
here.
want to do.
I'm not reaching for a weapon.
No.
Please do not kill me.
It's like, it was insane, man. And the whole experience, he was awesome. He's seriously such a legend. And but the whole experience was somewhat nerve-wracking. He was kind of a very charismatic and funny fella. And he didn't really understand what was going on. I just told him it's kind of like a game where there's no real rules. You just try to tackle each other, and then eventually someone tries to kick it through some sticks at the side of the game.
It's pretty much
That's really
summarized.
it. Like, I mean, for someone who's never heard of it, I was like, just enjoy someone getting their head taken off and not getting like a penalty for it.
Yeah, great, love it. Okay, so that happens. That's 16 when that happens. You debut. You're a part of a very, very exclusive club, which for some reason we've spoken to quite a few members on this podcast. First kick, first goal.
Yeah.
Anzac Day.
Anzac Day.
I mean, that's pretty epic to be debuting in a really important game for Australian culture and history and military and everything like that. And then to play well, first kick, first goal.
I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. Like,
Yes.
You talk about questions on how to play the game. I was totally lost. So I remember going into that game being extremely nervous. I was shaking. But then you get to the point in Anzac Day and you you line up and you kind of, Essendon and Collingwood face each other, whatever it is. And they go through like both New Zealand and Australian national anthems.
Yep.
And like at that point, I'm a year and a half into this country and knowing what the sport is. I didn't know a single word of it. So I was like kind of sitting there and they're like, oh, this like very momentous occasion, and everything else. And I sit there and there's everyone's, hard on chest or whatever it is, singing the anthem. And I'm, Queen. So like,
Imagine that's the New Zealand anthem. You're singing the wrong one.
Same. You love the Queen. We get it.
Some guys don't sing it though, so you could have just, you would have been incognito a little bit. Some guys don't sing it with passion.
Really?
Yeah, some guys don't
most
sing
do,
it.
Yeah. I guess most people just kind of like hum along or something. But
Yeah.
that day was kind of crazy. Great kickoff to a career. Kind of nuts thinking back to it now, and just not really even being able to really comprehend the moment. I think like you're just so kind of like chaotic in your mentality of everything's kind of happening all at once. And it's a cool thing. Like Darcy Moore, who's one of the people that came to the club same time as me. He did my jersey presentation, and he also was the person that kicked it to me to kick the first goal.
Wow.
So it's kind of like this weird, and I've always had a connection with him, good friends still today, and it's kind of this weird kind of universe coming together moment, And that was kind of those things, it's like, maybe like this whole thing is just like a crazy, awesome experience that I'm supposed to have. And ended up winning the game, smashed Essendon, and it was just like a great day all around. And that was the first time I probably realized how in this city of Melbourne, like people were crazy for AFL. And I remember walking out of there and people just lost their freaking mind. And I was like, dude, like this is one game. Like I don't know what you're talking about. And I'd never understood the scrutiny and like the media that came around things like this until that day. I think was the first experience I really had.
I mean, you've been notoriously a big game player, and this is from afar. But you play well in Anzac Day clashes. You're best on ground in a Queen's Birthday clash. Kick 5 goals. The prelim final, the grand final. I mean, you've played well in big games, and hopefully not speaking out of school. Like you haven't become this superstar guy, but you've got the ability to completely rip apart games. That big game stuff, is that something that is in your DNA? Like, is it an American thing? Is it something that's Mason Cox? Because it's true, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I came to this country for a unique experience. I came to this place to play in front of 80 to 100,000 people, and like that gets me excited. Like that gets me really pumped up. And I think sometimes also I've got a bit of a different mentality around things because I didn't grow up with it. I probably have a bit of I'm kind of removed somewhat. Like whenever I go home, a lot of my friends don't like watch AFL or know anything about AFL. I talk to my friends back in America and they're like, how's soccer going? And I'm like, yeah, soccer's great. Like no one really knows, So my experience is probably very different from others where they kind of probably are fully, surrounded by people that have been invested in their career for their whole life, where mine just kind of came out of the blue and I just kind of roll with it. So, I'll just love big games. I don't know. There's something about it. Just like something about the atmosphere, the energy of the place. Like I remember whenever we went to West Coast and we played in 2020, I think it was, and it was just like, it was so loud and there's so many people hating on you. And I was like, I love this shit. I was like, this is so good. I just love people talking trash and just trying to prove them wrong. And there's one guy I'll never forget. There's this big dude in the stands, and he's a hefty fella. And he just kept going at me the whole game, And you act like you don't know. Oh. You act like you don't hear it. And I'm sure you've got this experience in your time.
A full back, mate. You think they might talk to you about being American or being tall, bald, getting fat, getting slow. Don't worry, I've heard it all.
I say that. Oh man, but no, there's a few people talking. He said something about Trump, and I lost it, and I just essentially after every goal, I just pointed to him and was like, "Sit your ass down." Really? So yeah, I think just like that whole experience, I never thought I would have had. I never would have thought I'd be in that position. Just kind of, I don't know. It's like, why not make the most of it, kind of thing. So.
Was that the Brisbane game where you gave the crowd a bit of a shush? Is that, or was that someone else talking to you? Because you kicked a goal, then you went up to the crowd and you gave them some of those ones.
Yeah, a little Jack Ginnivan. No, that was, so Brisbane was different. That was the one I was talking about. I was in West Coast. In,
right.
The finals, I want to say 2021 or 2020.
Oh, no, that would have been 2020.
2020, yeah, during the whole COVID thing. So that was kind of a crazy chaotic thing of just getting like shipped over to WA and then not really knowing what's going on, and like that whole year was insane. But that was a big win for us on the road, but no one really expected us to win. So
2018, let's get into it. How was that year for you guys? I mean, you didn't come in, you'd been in the system a couple of years. From memory, by the way, if we can just get that on a shot, the man has the biggest coffee cup I've ever seen in my life. Like,
is that the Venti?
Could you put? It's like bigger than
the Venti.
The Venti. Yeah.
It's like bigger than Dan's head. Yeah. It's gigantic.
Please.
This actually is probably just as big as his head.
I'll tell you what, that could fit in a lot of Margaret River roasting co coffee. I tell you what, you could get a lot in that. Now,
or fit in a lot of upshot.
Yes.
Or a whole bottle of whiskey.
A whole bottle of whiskey in there. So 2018, what's that like for you? From memory, was it the media came at you? Was that 2018? They was sort of like, can't play, shouldn't be playing. Is that 2018?
Well, yeah, had a great start to 2018. So just signed a new contract, 3-year deal. And I was kind of like laughing. So I was like, I think the average AFL career is 3 years. And I was like, okay, I'll play at least 6. And so that was just wild to think that some guy doesn't even know what the AFL is, can rock up and play twice as long. And I came in the first game of the season, Hawthorn. I think I maybe had 1 or 2 touches and got suspended. Great game.
Wow.
Great game. Perfect. And everyone's gone, awesome. Can't wait to watch this guy for 3 years. This is going to be so much fun. Real question marks around my career.
At least you can laugh about it. It's good.
Oh, I think just if you saw how I got suspended, it just looked so uncoordinated that it was embarrassing. And I just kind of elbowed chicken wing this dude in the head, and Tom Phillip, I think, probably just kicked it out on the full after that. And it was just like, how the hell did we just recruit these 2 kids? But anyway, things turned around, obviously. In 2018 was one of the bigger years of my career. And yeah, led us all the way to a grand final, which was a pretty awesome experience for myself to have with the club.
So let's talk about the final series. So you come over to Perth, lose in a tight one in a qualifying final. You play that day. How do you play?
I actually don't really remember that one.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
I didn't play either, so so I have no idea. Yeah.
No, that one was, I think we'd gone from like 13th in the league the year before to top 4, which was kind of nuts. Like, not many people would have expected that. And thank God we had a double chance. And yeah, went over to Perth, and chaotic, kind of crazy experience there. And then lose to West Coast, and then we kind of come back and, kind of have this second win, because I didn't really understand this. This was my first time being in finals. I didn't really understand the double chance. It still doesn't make sense to me, to be honest.
When you lost the qualifying final, you didn't think you were out?
No. I was aware at that point. You asked me a year earlier, probably no idea. But no, I never understood it. Like the top 4, then the 5 to 8, and like all that. It was just kind of weird. Like, I don't think there's any other sport in the world that really does it, and it just doesn't. It just kind of baffled me. I was like, why do you guys do things so awkwardly and odd here?
There's so many things. Like, why is there points? Like, why do you get points for trying? Like,
I know. Well, my first game I ever saw, like, my mom was there, and I was in the stands there, and she got up and started cheering whenever someone kicked a point. Everyone was like, "Sit the hell down, woman!" She was like, "We got a point. There's the scoreboard's changed, and it's like, now we're just gonna, it's like I don't know. It's like what do I call it? Completion award. It's like you got close enough. We'll give you 1 point. But no, so 2018, lose to that West Coast, and then we go back, and I think we played GWS was the next one I want to say.
Yeah.
I'll never forget in that game. I haven't really told too many people this, but in the warm-up, Anthony Rucker was working out with me, and we're doing this ruck stuff, whatever, and he's a big boy. Pebs, like, he's a big boy, and I tried to like kind of work him under, and I corked my thigh like really bad, like in the warm up, and I could like barely run, and I was like, "Oh no, should I pull out of this? I don't really know. I don't want to be the reason we get knocked out of finals."
Wow.
And so we get to the game. I think Davis ends up doing his shoulder about halfway through the game, and I was like, "Oh, thank God." I was like, I kind of look at him. I was like, "Hey, let's just even each other out here. Let's just we'll just rustle each other, get nothing out of it, and we'll just get through this game and call it good." So. we ended up getting through GWS, and then I think the obvious one that everyone kind of talks about is that 2018 prelim against Richmond.
Yeah, I'm more looking at it as a collective for you because I've seen you play good games in big games. So that's what I said before. Is I know people like to talk about that Richmond game, but it's a real highlight of your career. Which clearly it is. I probably had a similar game in 2018 grand final for me. I had a good game, and people like to talk about that because we ended up winning. Don't know if you remember that, but I won't do that too much. I really won't. I'm mindful. I want to keep this very professional. But if you're going to come at me, I'm going to come at you. But continue on.
I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet.
I'm just kidding on the
Everyone's still waiting.
I'm on the front foot. So, but that 2018 prelim, you play a great game, right? Yeah. You can't deny it. You're on a multiple Australian winning defender in Alex Rance. You effectively retire him, and
Alex Rance was not on me. I have to clear this up because everyone's like, you made Alex Rance retire. Jordan De Go was on Alex Rance.
Yes. So who? How did you feel? Did it feel like this is the? Did you feel like you were in a talk about flow state, right? I'm not going to get into that mindfulness element, but did you just feel like everything you could do was just happening?
Yeah, it was very much flow state. Great day for a big man. Like, it's a little bit not too dewy, but just dewy enough for the ball's a bit sticky,
Yes.
One of those nights, which was awesome. There was something that happened probably the week before that really got me, and it was, I don't know, whenever you went to the 2018 grand final, like the AFLPA has people that come together with the captain. They say, if you win the grand final, here's like you have these kind of pictures and everything else you sign. It's like official merchandise, right? Yes. And they had the audacity to go into our club and show Richmond Tigers. This is about 4 days before we play them. Richmond Tigers 2018 grand final winners, and had them up as a banner to like sell to us, to tell us about what this thing would be, and for us to sign off on it.
Really?
And I thought, do you cuss on the show? I'm not really too sure.
Yeah.
I said, get fucked. I was like, dude, to rock up into our own like club, it'd be nice enough for you to come into our own club and say, sales pitch this to us. And you to come and have the audacity to show Richmond on there as the 2018 prelims about 3 or 4 days before we played them. I just was like, go fuck yourself, mate. And that kind of pissed me off. And then obviously like no one really kind of gave us a chance anyway. And it's like I said before, it's this whole thing of like proving people wrong and kind of showing people what you're made of. And that probably was, I guess, like maybe one of the motivating factors that kind of led to that game being what it was. Maybe, I'm not really sure, but there's quite a few things I think that happened that week that no one really gave us a chance. It felt so good, just kind of proving people wrong.
Well, Richmond were on a 22-game win streak at the G, like almost unbeatable there. So massive effort. The proving haters wrong thing, it seems, is that like a real motivating thing for you?
Oh, I mean, I've had haters since day one I came here. Like, why are we picking up a guy in America that's never played footy when there's kids that have played their whole life and would kill for that position? Would kids like that be able to perform in a 2018 prelim and get to a grand final? Probably not.
No.
So I think from my perspective, I've had haters from day one, still do, still will always have haters. And I'm sure you would have along your career also. And I'm not sure if you played young.
It's all right.
There goes the mic.
Yeah, you go.
I'm not sure if you would have whenever you probably played footy growing up, but there's always people that just like hate on you, man. Like, and I think it's a sign of you doing something worthwhile in life. Like, I think it's kind of crazy. I don't want to get too like kind of
that's good. We love it.
Like perspective on this whole thing. But if you're not doing anything, no one's probably hating on you. But if you're doing something, someone's probably pissed off they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, people can be mad at me, but this sounds probably pretty cocky, but like it's probably the fact that they were never able to reach this side or have the experiences I've had in my AFL career.
That's what I love about American culture. People view it as cockiness, but if you actually understand it, I think within reason, you're just speaking the truth here. You're just saying what people know but won't say it. I mean, that's exactly right. People view you as a threat to doing their own thing, and you're actually doing it. So I think,
whenever you're okay with yourself and you're really happy in what you're doing and you don't really worry about anyone else's opinion, just nothing really matters in that sense. Like, it's all outside noise.
Grand final week, again, everything's a first, right?
Yeah. Dude, why do y'all do the grand final? Happy for this, but why do you do the grand final parade beforehand? I just don't get it. Why celebrate two teams whenever there's only going to be one winner? But hey,
you're going to like this, Mason, I believe, and hopefully we will air this before finals, no doubt. They're bringing the grand final parade down the Yarra River this year.
Huge.
They've got you on the boat.
What, on a float?
Yes, that's correct. That's absolutely correct.
Far out. Are you kidding me?
No, that's...
This is probably actually to make sure you're 2 meters away from everyone else for COVID protocols.
Yeah. So you're going to be on the river.
There you go.
What's the grand final parade like for you then? The 2018 one.
Yeah, it was wild. Like I remember that whole week was insane. I think we had a media day. I'm sure y'all probably had a media too. And supposed to be 30 minutes, turned into like 2.5 hours for myself. Most other guys are out there in 30 minutes, but just like I think what happened was like it kind of came more outside of Australia. There was a story around this kind of thing of, you know, this American barely heard of the sport kind of playing in the biggest day of the year. And there was a lot of international media and a lot of like stuff around it and everything else. And it was crazy. Like mom and dad were there, brothers flew in, the whole family was there for the grand final. Awesome experience. And that parade was just kind of weird. I remember my dad, he's the biggest like fan ever. Like he's like the proudest dad you'll ever meet. And I remember sitting up there on the stage. I don't know if you remember this. We're on the stage, and you know they had the cup there, and it's like both captains hold it up, and it's I don't know who was the captain at the time, but
Shannon Hearn.
Yeah, Shannon Hearn, and it's like who releases the cup first? Was that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. But how do you do it? Like, do you know who did it?
I think it was Scott.
It was Scott.
I think so. Look, I can't confirm, but I believe it was Scott.
Wow, because that's a thing on grand final days. Who releases the cup last?
Yes.
And I didn't really know obviously until like the day, but there was a lot of speculation aroround that of like who would be the last one. It's silly. It makes no sense.
Well,
but
we spoke to Jared Ruffhead about different things. Like we had a thing, no sunglasses, no photos, so no phones. So 2015, we play in 2015, we lose. Yep. We think we're Hollywood, you know, to use American. You know, we think we're just the kings of the big game, right? Sunny's on, how good is this, selfies, this and that. So 2018, we really tried to, we had our professional cameraman there. There's going to be photos, you're not going to miss out. And then the sunglasses thing was a appreciate the day. You don't need to hide your face, and so it was like no sunnies. So I think there was some boys wearing sunnies from your side.
Oh, for sure. I probably would have been one.
Yeah. But funnily enough, Hawthorn in 2015 looked at West Coast and were like, "Look at these guys, they got carried away." I didn't feel that with Collingwood. Like you guys kind of built this whole season on sort of like a bit of it was driven by Nathan Buckley again from afar. You can speak to it, but a real respectful way of going about playing your footy and playing your teams. So I didn't have that, but I knew a few of you were wearing sunnies, and I was like, here we go.
You thought you had us.
Oh, no.
In the first couple quarters, it was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. 5 goals to none. I was going to ask before we get into the game, like coming into the game, you've lost a qualifying final in Perth. Are you playing the same team? Are you coming in with confidence? If that's not a stupid question. Like, do you think you can beat West Coast?
Yeah, I think if you get there, you always have the confidence you're going to be able to win. There's no doubt about that. But I think, like we learned our lessons from the experience of playing you guys in that qualifying final. And I think going into it, you're like, okay, this is exactly how they're playing at the moment. Like, in having that kind of that time frame of a week or 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it was before playing them that quickly. I think you kind of understand from maybe even like a one-on-one perspective of who you're playing against. Like you might know a few tricks that he uses or things he might do and stuff like that. So that was probably something that we kind of looked at, and that whole week was a bit of a blur. But I think the one thing that kind of stands out in my mind of all of it is like this experience thing that Scott said. He said, you know, he obviously had won a grand final in 2010. He said, you know, these moments don't come around very often, so just enjoy them while they're here. Don't get caught up in the craziness and everything else. Just enjoy it for what it is, because if you try to treat it as an ordinary week, you're going to get lost in everything, because you know it's not an ordinary week. You just have to enjoy the experience of what it is. So, it was kind of crazy. Like, I think we did have confidence going in. We're a very young group. You guys were a bit older. We had some just absolute firecrackers, you know, and like Jordan DeGoey and a few others in the mids. And I think that you didn't have Nick Nat. You know, there's a few things you had out that were kind of probably key pillars, and you guys being at your best. Yeah. And there was opportunity for sure.
Did warming up grand final day, so on Scott Pendlebury's advice to enjoy the day, you know, do you warm up on the ground before the game? So I don't go out on the ground before the game.
Really?
Yeah, I never do, yeah.
Huge.
I mean, it's like green grass, goals each end, defender, see ball, punch ball. Not much I need to do up there, to be honest. Just, you know, I just get my ankle strapped and we're all good to go. Do you go up there before the game? Do you have a look? What's the feeling?
Every game, before every game. So we walked over from the club. So like, as we have the club right across the street from the MCG,
really?
We walked over and there was a
pre-grand final?
Yeah. Oh, every game.
Oh,
we do it before every game, because we just warm up the club and we just walk over, and we're so early to the game that like I probably shouldn't say this because people are going to stand outside the club, but like we just warm up and then we just walk over because we have all the equipment, all the machines and stuff at the club to get ready.
I did not know
It's
that.
the greatest thing ever. Yeah, and I'm sure Richmond probably does it too, being literally across the street.
How far is the walk from Collingwood? Like,
That'd be like less than 500 meters probably.
Right.
Like less than a K for sure.
I didn't know that.
It actually takes longer to drive in than it does actually to walk. So
Right.
we do that. And then, we walked over and I remember there was like this, we had a security guard walking us over and there was a whole kind of like Collingwood, just like people walking with us. And it was this whole organized kind of like parade kind of thing where they're like chanting and everything else and like walking us over to the G.
Wow.
It was pretty cool, like really cool experience.
Yeah.
Myself don't really love that. Like I'm very like kind of locked in fella, and I'll put the headphones in and I think I was part of it, kind of like listened to it for a bit, kind of enjoyed like the atmosphere of it, and I'll put the headphones in. I just darted straight for the G and just kind of left everyone in the dust. But before games, I do walk out. I do like a full kind of lap of the MCG. In me, like it is like this is probably an experience. Playing footy growing up, and you're from Geelong, and where are you from?
Perth.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the Wacker. Maybe that. But so it's like, I don't know. For me, it's like a whole experience I never knew anything about. And it's like just fully soaking it in. Because you just never know when it's going to be done. You really don't. And like even at the end of this year, I wasn't sure if I'd ever play AFL again. And I just want to make sure whenever I do finish AFL that I fully soaked it in for what it was. And before every game, I'll walk around. I'll just kind of look up into the stands like aimlessly looking like an idiot. And just fully soak in, people that come to the game and sit in the top rafters. And just come to watch you play, like, and just be grateful for those people like paying for tickets to come and watch you play. Like, there's so many things I feel like whenever I come out to a ground, I just want to soak in to make sure that I take the full experience in, and just am totally appreciative of the opportunity I've been given.
The USA chant? Because that was
Huge fan.
Huge fan.
Actually,
A lot of people whenever I got citizenship, they were like, "Oh, do we change it to Aussie, Aussie, Aussie?" And I was like, "No, because that's anyone on the freaking field, dude."
Did that sort of start like the Richmond prelim? Like, because I remember hearing it grand final day. Like it was.
Did you hear Grant? So
It happened grand final day. I'm sure it did.
it's great. It was awesome.
I was like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty, did you say that?
No.
Did you think that in the game? You're like,
I
this is
did.
kind of weird.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
My mindset grand final day was a weird one. I'd sort of come into the team. I missed that qualifying final. Brad Shepherd gets injured. And so I had, sort of like you, I had like point to prove kind of on my mind. That's been a motivator for me for my whole career is, I was a late draft pick. So, a lot of people picked before me. And then I was dropped a lot during my career. And so I'd always, to get myself back in the team, which I did regularly, it was a prove the coaches wrong or prove the players wrong or whatever it was. And so that grand final was kind of like a perfect storm for me. I had some adversity going into the game, lost a really good mate during the year. I'd had my first son, and it was kind of, the injury happened, and it was like you said, but it was a big fuck you game. Like you talk about your flow state from the prelim. I was in flow state grand final day.
Love that.
So let's get into it, right? So grand final, you boys kicked the first 5 goals of the game. So my flow state was slightly altered. It wasn't panic state. We did a lot of work on the mental side of the game. I know you guys did too. A big part about 2015 was we didn't have any tools mentally to deal with a team getting on top of you on the biggest stage in the competition, in the league. 2018 we did a lot of mindfulness. We had a lot of strategies mentally to not get too concerned about the score. On the other side, you guys 5 goals up. What are you thinking?
I think you're pretty hyped. You're like, man, we've just come into a grand final. We've kicked 5 goals. We've kind of continued this momentum from the game before. We're definitely up and about. Like I think at that point you're going, how good is this? We might win the whole thing. And, but like with anything, you get to that first quarter and you're like, okay, now you reset. And you're like, you just never know what they might bring to you that next quarter. And it's always like that. I mean, like you go quarter by quarter and it's like you might come back from halftime and just get smacked. Like we had it like Geelong this year. We had Geelong, the same thing happened. They came back and just chiseled away and ended up winning the game. And I think that's one mentality in footy is you realize it's never over till it's over. Like, and it's every quarter time they might, switch something up that's a totally different game plan, or someone might play a different position that kind of turns the tides and is able to kind of, bring the ball back in their half and score more goals. So, I can only speak from my personal experience, but I think we're pretty up and about. I think there's one moment I'll never forget that was Barras was playing on me.
Yes.
And
I was not putting my hand up to play on Mason. I'll tell you that right now. Too small for you,
probably
mate.
better forwards out there in the league than myself. But Brass was playing on me. I remember he worked me under on one. I was filthy because that's like the worst thing you can feel as a forward. Whenever the defender's got back shoulder, he just easily works you under, takes a clunk, you just look like an idiot.
Yeah.
He'd done that. It's 450. Someone was kicking it straight for me too, and I was like furious. And I hadn't really done much in that first quarter. I don't even think I maybe even had a marker or touch. And there's maybe another time in that first quarter where he went up to like punch a ball and he came down, actually got his finger in my eye, and that was the start of my whole experience with.
I did hear this. So that happened in the grand final
with glasses, yeah. Huh. So Brass is the first person I had, I guess, an eye injury with. Wow. And like in a grand final, like everyone scraps. I don't say it's like was meant to by any means, but you would experience this like. Free kicks are very far and few in between in a grand final.
Yes.
And I was told that, but I never quite understood that until you play on the day, where you realize anything and everything goes. It is purely just who wants it more.
Yeah.
And that was probably my first experience, I think, of that first quarter where we'd gotten up, we were all excited. We get to that quarter time break, and we're all just like, we're on edge. We're all like, oh, this is amazing. This is exciting. And then, you get to that probably half time. That's kind of where I guess y'all started coming back and started chiseling away.
I remember at some point in the game, it was either the third or first quarter, because I remember the end of the ground it was, and you guys had kicked a goal, and you might have kicked a goal. You didn't kick one in the first half, did you?
Nah, I'm not sure.
Maybe third quarter.
Maybe a third.
I think you kicked your goal in the third quarter. And something happened, someone had trash talked and was bumping and pushing, and I came in, because I was quite physical that game. That was my thing that game. I was just going to be physical. And I didn't care. If I got reported for something, I didn't care. That was my last game.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
also, no red cards in footy, so you just might as well. If you're going to do it in the grand final and get suspended, do it.
So anyway, there was pushing and shoving. I thought I was going to come in and push Mason. I just remember, I never felt it on a football field. I came up to push him. It was just like a concrete wall. Like I tried to bash him like I'd been bashing everyone else. And it was just like doing. And then he I lost my complete reach. I was too far away, but he still had another, his whole arm, and was just pushed me 5 meters backwards. And I was like, all right, I'm going back to the goal square on the small. This is stupid.
I've done my bit.
You remember that? I don't know. It's jumped in my head. So you talk about your eye injury. The first half, you personally, you don't play like you did in the prelim, right?
Yeah.
What are you thinking at half time? Because on our side, Jack Darling is in a similar position.
Yes.
Doesn't play well in the first half, but comes out and has a really big second half. And you did the same thing. Can you remember at half time anything that was said to you? Anything you thought?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, talking to some of the coaches and stuff. It's that reset mentality. And I'm sure everyone would have experienced it, where a coach says, what's happened in the past has happened. You can only change what's going to happen in the future. And Anthony Rock had come up to me, and he's the person I'd probably had a close relationship with the club, and just said, look, man, what's happened has happened. Obviously you haven't had a great half, but let's turn this thing around and see what you can do in the second half. And I think it's those moments where you have a coach or someone you really trust who has your back and knows what's best for you, and you would just give anything for, that you really listen to them in those kind of stressful moments. You're my head might be in a million different places, but I feel that direct kind of line of trust to someone else, you can go, okay, cool, I'm 100%, I'm just going to listen to him and what advice he has. So that was probably the big kind of turning point for me mentally, was just saying okay, screw the past. What's done is done. We're still up by X amount of goals. Let's just try to finish this thing off. And that was kind of probably my mentality for the second half.
So Gov comes into that game. Jeremy McGovern comes in with broken ribs. Is that something that's discussed at all in the forward line? Do you guys so for instance, I know it's hard for you as a current player, but if you came in, for instance, if you came in with broken ribs, I would have been targeting your ribs the whole game. I would have been trying to break them.
Yeah.
Is that spoken about at all?
No, not really. I knew if McGovern was on me, I would have definitely tried to smash him in the ribs.
Because you broke his other ribs.
Did I break his ribs?
Yeah, he did.
No.
So that tackle,
that's a huge. I did not know that.
Remember the tackle on the boundary line?
Jeremy.
Sorry, bro. Do you remember that? The tackle on the boundary. Don't know what end of it is. It's maybe the punt road end. You sort of tackled him out of bounds, and you broke his other ribs.
Oh.
So he had cracks in one side of his ribs. It was like a car crash injury type thing. He had internal bleeding, and he was worried about that side. You broke the other side of his ribs.
Oh my gosh. I feel bad. Like
Yeah,
I'm one of those people. It's like I actually genuinely like I enjoy like playing with people and stuff, and
Yeah.
I feel bad when I injure someone. Like
Yeah.
I genuinely do.
Yeah.
In the moment, don't care, but like after, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So apologies, Jeremy McGovern. I didn't know that, but that's a first.
He had a great battle with Barras. Barras gets in the best for that day and he plays really well on you, but you have a really big second half and you influence the game like you did in the prelim. You're taking contested marks, you're kicking goals. Can you take your mind back to the last quarter? You guys start well at that. You kick the first 2 goals, scores a level at 3/4 time, come out and kick the first. It's like the first quarter again.
Yeah.
You guys are up and about. Can you take your mindset back to that? What are you thinking again?
Oh man, I'm not sure how your experience would have been, but a lot of it's a blur. Like I think a lot of it, you kind of go back and you kind of think about it, and you're like, I wish I would have remembered exactly what I was thinking about at certain times in a game.
Yeah.
I've only maybe seen highlights of the game. I've never actually, you've probably watched it 100 times to be honest, but 101. Had a few on that.
I've never watched 20. I watched 2015 once, so I know. How you feel.
Yeah. So I just never have gone back and really watched it. I think maybe if I ever write a book someday, I might kind of dissect it a bit further, but. In that last quarter, it was just kind of this, I don't know, like I kind of felt this pressure, but this also kind of like, I'm very weird, I feel like, whenever I think about AFL. I think of the experience. I always come back to like where I started from and everything else. And like whenever I'm in these kind of high pressure or stressful environments and stuff like that, I just go back to be like, dude, like, you didn't even know how to kick a football 5 years ago, man. Like, dude, just have a good time. Enjoy it, man. So I think that was probably my mentality. I think at some point in that the fourth quarter, kind of between the quarter time break or whatever, I kind of just like thought about it all. And I was like, man, this is so cool. We're in a big game. We're in the biggest game of the year. It's a tight game. Like everyone's kind of going at each other. And it's like, it's an absolute fist fight. How cool is this? This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that's kind of a weird thing to probably think in that moment, but I was like, this is awesome. And I was like, all right, cool. Now what do I need to do in my role to be able to execute to try to help us win this game? So, that was probably it. And then I'm sure we'll probably talk about that last kind of passage of flight.
Yeah, let's do that now.
And,
I don't think that's that unique though. I've spoken to a lot of West Coast guys that thought the same thing about sort of looking like 100,000 people at the G's, scores a level.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you're just grateful.
Yeah,
you're like, man, this is sick.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think that's unique. I think that was shared across guys that have followed footy. Like I'm a huge footy fan. I definitely felt that at stages. Let's talk about the last play. So this is the McGovern to Vardy to Ryan to Sheed and West Coast had shots at goal. A few misses, a couple of posters, and sort of momentum was building, but time was running out. Right. So you guys just stayed in front, and Sheed takes that mark on the boundary. I'll say it. You don't have to. Sheed plays on. Sheed is shepherded. He probably
Hey, we're getting it firsthand from a West Coast man.
It's a win's a win, isn't it?
Everyone puts the whistle away on the grand final.
Yeah, but it goes the way it goes. I don't think the grand final's decided by that moment.
It'll be the most talked about moment, I think.
Correct.
It's not
He may have had his eyes shut when he's kicking for goal. You have
front row seat.
Front row seats.
Front row seat. I got the best seat in the house to watch Dom Sheed win a grand final. It was shit house. It's absolute shit house.
It's in your game plan at Collingwood at that stage, don't know if it still is, for you to stand on the mark? Because you're the tallest guy.
So if you actually were to take a statistical kind of data on percentage of set shots made while me on the mark, I think it would be less than 50%. I don't know why, and I've noticed this throughout my career. I think people shit themselves a bit whenever I jump up and they go, "Oh, maybe I'm a bit too close or something."
Yeah.
And I thought on the day, and this is actually I've never really talked about this, but I was fat, so I was on the other side of the ground whenever McGovern takes a mark. I was next.
Yeah.
And you just feel this hopeless feeling because you're not everyone kind of been this, where you're almost just watching this happen. You can't have any impact, and you're just going, "Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no." And I remember sitting there. I sprinted from literally the opposite corner of the ground to go take that mark, to stand the mark. And Dom Sheed's sitting there, and it's kind of an angle. I'm like, oh, chances are probably not that high, from a probability standpoint.
Yeah, correct.
And I remember the umpire came up to me. I'll never forget this because he goes, usually I'd kind of run up and I'd jump, try to kind of throw people off. And he goes, no, stand still. And he wouldn't let me do it. And it's a very weird thing. So I was like, what do you mean? This is not. And he goes, make sure you don't cross that line. He was really stern because no umpire really ever told me this, really.
Wow.
And on that kick, for some reason, he was like, no, you need to stand. And you need to just only essentially jump up and down. You can't run up. Otherwise, if you cross it, I'm going to call 50. And I remember that being on that day, being like, damn, that kind of threw my little like, psych out of like kickers off. And he actually ended up kicking it way before, he's an amazing kick and one that goes down in history, obviously. But that was one thing I remember sitting on the mark and I was like, this is a bit of a different thing.
That's
so
amazing.
Do you think he was trying to prevent, like he was looking out for you? Like, I really don't want to call 50. Like, make sure you don't. Or is it more?
You can imagine if he calls 50 there, Dom Sheed misses that goal. And then the whole grand final is decided based on an umpire's call.
Yeah, true.
He would have been Collingwood fans. Dude would not be alive today.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. But credit to him, kicks a goal, wins the grand final, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it is.
When time's running out at the end of that game, there, like how, at what point is there any moment there at the end where you're thinking like, oh man, that's it, like it's done, or is it the siren that sort of made you realize that the game was open? Like, did you know there was only 6 seconds left when the ball gets kicked back into the middle, or like how aware of time are you?
Nah, like this is also another weird thing about Australian rules is you don't really, it's like soccer, you like don't really tell. But then the weird thing is they have like, sometimes they'll have it on the boundary of how much time's left.
I've seen
they've
that
got
now.
some kind of sponsor.
Tisso
countdown clock, like something like that. So we're just sellouts essentially. But so I think at the end of the game, you never think it's over till you hear that siren. And then once the siren kind of went, you kind of come to this realization of these emotions just kind of flow over you of all the stress of just finals in general and like the whole experience and everything else being finalized and finished. And now it's kind of like, what's the next step of moving on? And you watch it, obviously you show the respect and you watch them go up and get their medals and everything else. And you kind of just sit there in shock and awe. Because like, you talk about the beginning of the game, you're like, we had it in our hands, we let it go. And we just kind of sat there, watched everyone get their medal, and I think emotions flowed. I would say I probably cried. I want to say at that point, wasn't really too sure about anything. I was just like kind of in this empty space. And it was kind of this weird feeling of having an empty space and then having someone fulfill their dreams next to you. It's a weird thing on a grand final day. And but I remember getting back to the club or back to the rooms, and there's a point where I remember this very, very vividly. We're walking back, or I was walking out or something, and Josh Kennedy, he had walked past and he was holding a beer or something like that, and he had his premiership medal on, and he was grinning from ear to ear. And I just remember just sitting there looking at him, and I just go, I'm actually happy for him. That was probably something he's been wanting to do for his whole life, and he's now conquered that goal, and you can see exactly how happy he was. And I was like, you know what? Whatever happened in that game, it is what it is. Everyone gave their all, but I'm happy for him to have that experience in his life. And that's one moment that I'll never forget. Like just after the game, that was pretty amazing.
Unreal. Appreciate you sharing that stuff, mate, because, I don't know if a couple of years after 2015, if someone hit me up and wanted to do an interview about it, I'd be like, given too much. So I've certainly from afar, again, watched you, play, but then, some of the other stuff that happens outside and seemed like a really thoughtful man and appreciate that. That's good shit. We love it. Anything else you want to touch on there, Dan? But I'm just going to quick rapid fire through a couple of last ones.
Let's get him out of here.
I'll tell you this story actually.
Please.
What it's like to lose a grand final and then have a whole function at the Crown with a band to play and everything as if you're going to win just in case. That is the most depressing event I've ever been to in my life.
It's like a morgue.
It is a morgue, an absolute morgue. Like no one says anything. You literally have to bring your suit to the grand final for the post game match, right?
Yes.
So we go and we lose the game. Everyone's got to get dressed up in a suit, get on a bus, go to the Crown to celebrate a loss of a grand final. I don't wish that upon anyone in this world. It is the most depressing day of my life, I think.
That is another weird thing
If you can put
that they make you
yourself in that scenario, it is just...
You have to plan to win. And so you
have
have
to.
all your families there. Like we had that 2015 and it's like literally silence. People are crying. People are crying at tables. People aren't even drinking. Or some people are drinking way too much because they're just trying to blank their mind. Some people can't drink. I don't know. It's horrible.
It's terrible.
The band's playing. Shut up.
I think we had like Delta Goodlerum or something show up, and I was like, can you imagine being like the band trying to play to a crowd of people that want to murder each other?
It'd be a rough crowd. That'd be a rough crowd.
It's rough.
Hey, touch on the eye stuff. And you don't get to come at me later on in the show. We got not too long left, but you start in the grand final, which I didn't know, the Tom Brass sort of incident, and then you cop a few more knocks. Can you talk about that and what that's been like for you? Because I've seen you speak about it a little bit, and it's a life moment. It's not footy.
It is, right? And it's kind of you to talk in such an endearing way right now because I was listening to a podcast, the Dom Sheed podcast, and this was the very beginning of the season. You said, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, especially how ridiculous Mason Cox looks against Sunnies. That's a direct quote from you. So I appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's,
I appreciate
we've come a long
it.
way. So whenever you did message me, I was like, this fuckwit. So I appreciate that.
I'll apologise. I'll apologise. In my defense,
That's actually what I came to this podcast for, is for you to apologise to me, Will. So please, officially do it. Officially apologise to me.
I, Will Schofield, would like to wholeheartedly apologise to Mason Cox for calling his sunglasses and his outfit, which is high socks tucked in, sunnies, ridiculous.
So they
it wasn't
good.
about
so
your
they look
eye.
good. Are you saying they look good?
I will not go that far, mate. I will not go that far.
I'm trying to really get as much out of you as I can right now, Will.
I've given you as much as I can, Mason. I'm sorry.
We'll bury the hatchet.
That's very good.
No, that was great. That was my little snippet of you.
Well done.
I did a bit of research, mate.
I feel like an absolute cockhead. Perfect.
You also put West Coast in the top 3 teams to win a grand final this year. So.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I really? No, I
Sydney,
didn't.
St Kilda, West Coast. So.
Okay. I did. Yeah, okay. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
West Coast. I've
anyway,
said
so
West
that's me
Coast.
talking shit to you.
Thank you.
I don't think you put Collingwood very highly either.
Okay. Can everyone shut the fuck up?
Okay, can we move on?
That'll be good.
Back to the glasses, yes.
Yeah.
Back
Oh, not
to
the glasses, the eyes.
The eyes, yes. So, I'll give a bit of a snapshot of the experience. So, in the centre bounce, Gold Coast Suns, I go into the ruck, and like in the ruck, there's a lot of wrestling and everything else. And Peter Wright was in the ruck and jumped up, and I got the hit out, but I guess he tried to go for the ball and just kind of ripped through my face and got his finger into the back of my eye, so he tore off half the retina. And at the time, I didn't know. I mean, like, you get a finger in the eye, kind of like, oh, whatever, just roll around. I started seeing these black dots everywhere, and this is kind of very symptomatic of what's happened. And I just played out till halftime, and I was like, oh, I'll be all right. Eventually come back, and I got to halftime. I flagged it with the doctor, and the doctor, he kind of went quiet. And whenever a doctor goes quiet, you really start getting a bit nervous, real nervous. So he goes, now straight to eye and ear. Eye and ear goes in, and he goes, you got some good news, or you got some bad news. Good news is this is fixable. Bad news is your right eye is also screwed up, which was from the brass incident.
Right.
So came in with one bum eye, came out with 2, and then for 5 or 6 surgeries later, and sunnies now and everything else, and a lot of contacts that I've tried throughout the years and whatnot have led to the very well-known sunglasses that I play in games with now. So it's been a process. We actually played Peter Wright this week, so I'm not sure when this podcast comes out, but if I'm suspended next week, you know what? So it's been a process.
You spent periods of time not being able to see, right?
Yeah, I'll talk about, I just did a podcast at Howie Games. I'll talk about for a year in it would have been 2020. We were traveling all over the place, and we had spent 3 weeks in West Coast to do our quarantine.
Yeah.
And at that point, obviously West Coast is very constricted on what we're able to do and what we're not able to do. And I couldn't really go see a doctor, so I couldn't really figure out the best case scenario of being able to. I had surgery previously and couldn't figure out the best way of handling this through contacts or whatever it was. So we had to get special permission from the WA government just to be able to leave the hotel to go see a doctor because we were quote unquote infectious. And
correct.
Can't get me started on that, but so I had to get special permission and this whole kind of thing, and then got contacts that were tinted, and those always fell out, and never really found a good solution until this year. I essentially had to do a bit of research on my own and found these people in Colac that make these glasses
Colac,
called
shout out.
iSports.com.au. Yeah, being a Geelong boy, you probably know where Colac is.
Yeah.
And
Luke Hodge country.
Is Luke Hodge from there?
Yeah, he's from Colac.
Huge.
Colac boy.
Jeez, he surely would have the oval named after him.
Yeah, mate, you'd hope so.
You'd hope so.
Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, shout out to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, these people were kind enough to kind of experience this, and I would drive to Colac, which is 2.5 hours from Melbourne, and I would go out and we'd have a kick with his son, the guy who made these sunglasses, and we'd have a kick with his son. He'd go, okay, let's try all different pairs from pink, green lenses, brown lenses, gray lenses, black lenses, everything else under the sun, just to be able to figure out which one worked the best. And just through trial and error, we found out, I guess, the right kind of tint, the right kind of correction, and everything else, and that's kind of what I'm wearing now. So,
because they're different, right? Like the lenses are different.
Yeah, so each lens is different. So if you look at my eyes now, you can probably see the pupil in my left eye doesn't constrict as much as the right.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the problem is now, essentially, if I look into a light, that light is too bright for my left eye, but my right eye's okay. So, and the left eye is the one that had the major trauma from it. So the left one is darker than the right one. So this thing's very, very, very unique to myself, and the guys helped me out quite a bit with it. So yeah, if I get poked in the eye again, I go probably blind. So
the sunnies
it's
are here to
part
stay.
of the protection. Yeah,
The sunnies are here to stay.
it's kind of cool though. Like a lot of kids who wear goggles have reached out and said, my favorite player. I've never felt comfortable playing football, and now that you're doing it at the highest level, I don't really, get made fun of at junior levels. So it's kind of cool in that sense. I mean, you're not wearing glasses, but 2 of us here are.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this thing.
I probably need them.
The older you get, the more I think it just kind of becomes part of it with everyone looking at their phone nowadays. But yeah, it's here to stay. So
it's good.
Caught a bit of criticism early days. Don't get me wrong, Horace Grants and all the different nicknames.
Yes.
But the first day debuting him at training, very nervous. Very nervous.
Well, it's Australian culture, right? It's the tall poppy stuff that, you see something different. It's like you're talking about before with the American stuff. It's like people see something different and it's like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I mean, prime example, I'm like, hang on, he's wearing sunglasses. I've never seen this before. Yeah. It's an idiot. Yeah. So, I mean, that's good. I appreciate that, mate. I know you're going to get out of here, so we do appreciate your time. We've got one more segment to run through.
Yep.
You're going to like this. You're a podcast man yourself, always coming up with ideas. What are we going to call things? Social media stuff. Social media. Social media.
I love this.
Very good. Social media where the people get to ask you the questions.
Mailbox.
Mindful of time, my man. So we'll keep them kind of brief answers. Tom Strauss.
What's it like to be Richmond's father since late 2018?
You can say no comment if you don't like it.
No comment.
That's enough.
I actually would love to get Alex Rance on my podcast to talk about the 18 grand final.
That would be good.
18 prelim would be awesome.
That would be good. We're actually speaking of Nathan Broad today, so I'll have a chat to him about that. Now, _George, _96.
Can you hook me up with a shoe plug? I'm size 20 and struggle to find shoes.
Size 20?
There's no way size 20.
Dude, size 20 does not exist.
Well, I mean, what's Shaq?
Shaq.
Shaq was, Shaq was like 22, I think.
28.
I met Shaq. He's actually coming to Australia soon.
Is he?
But I met him in the years prior, and he was a huge human. Just girthy, big fella. Like, just massive.
You need to get him in the pod.
I'll toss the idea to him.
The request
Might
through.
cost me about 200 grand.
Yeah. Matty Steno.
Thoughts on Will Schofield when an opponent, as an opponent versus Will Schofield now?
I don't know. I think, like I said, I'll talk about like AFL players. And I find this funny. And the first experience I had in AFL, I was so confused. Yeah. Siren goes at the beginning of the game. You hate each other. You punch each other. You literally just want to murder each other. Yes. Siren goes, hey, mate, how you been? You been good? Yeah, how's the family? And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, you just literally trying to like punch me in the face 2 seconds ago. And as soon as you hear some magical fucking tornado siren, all of a sudden now you're going to sit there and be best mates with me? Seriously struggled for that for a long time. But
so what are you saying? I was trying to bash you during the game, and then I said,
well, you told me you tried to. You didn't really get very far, but no, I do find it awesome because it's like I feel like there's a bit of an inner like kind of club, and then if you're playing on someone even like tall backmen, tall forwards, ruckmen, there's a bit of a small like kind of society in there that kind of everyone hangs out after games.
It's the jury's still out. It means Mason irrelevant. Will Schofield irrelevant as an opponent. Live _Floro.
What's the best sledge you've been given on the field?
I actually can't say it. It's a
Can
very.
You say who it was by? Or team.
No. I don't want to get anyone in trouble.
Okay.
It was the R word and a giraffe, looking like a R word giraffe chasing butterflies around the field, and I thought that was. I was like, oh,
that's rough.
I was kind of like, yeah, I would not be saying that nowadays.
Chasing butterflies around, that's not bad. Okay, Riley J. Nelson. Hello, Riley.
What was the hardest rule or skill to adjust when learning how to play Aussie rules?
Oh, man. Kicking handball, pretty tough. I think just like the weird oddities of AFL is what got me, whether it be umpire pointing the wrong way on a free kick, whether it be the ridiculous like old school phone you used to pick up, like 1990s phone on the bench. There's just so many little things I was like, seriously? Like, have we not really kind of like grown with the times? Even the biggest thing I think I'll tell the story because it's hilarious, but in the first game I ever played was against Carlton in a NAB Cup game, and I had no idea what was going on. And there's this guy who was like kind of he did conditioning for us, and he's in the middle of the game, and he runs up to me in this pink vest, and I'm going, Chris, what the hell are you doing on the field? And he's like, Mason, what are you talking about? I was like, we're in the middle of a game. Like, get off the ground. And he's like, I'm the runner. And I was like, the hell's the runner, dude? And he's like, I'm allowed to be here. I was like, What? I was so confused. And the fact that he's wearing a pink vest just made it even better. But
There
that
isn't
was probably
another
one of the
sport that
biggest
has it.
things. They've got rid of it now, like somewhat. There's still people that runs out, but like the pink vest guy running around on a field when I first came here just baffled me.
Chris Maston is he's the pink vest guy at West Coast now. So
Is he?
played in the 2018 game. He's now running around talking. So basically, he's just like a 19th man out there talking shit and
Yeah, does he?
carrying
Do
on.
they ever just like tell jokes to you?
Yeah, that's
Gosh,
what. That's
man,
what.
that would make. I'd love that.
Yeah, correct. You got to get people smiling. And loving it.
You enjoy the moment.
Joshua _Cons.
Do you think the AFL can catch wind in the USA?
Like, yeah, can that take off over there at all?
I think the AFL can. The US AFL is the league over there. Both brothers playing. My brother's, I think, like a 4-time premiership player.
Opposing teams, right?
Yeah, one plays for Austin, one plays for Seattle. They keep telling me, both of them, I think one's won a D2 premiership and the other one's won D1 like 4 times. So I'm the only person in my family who hasn't won a premiership. That's what they keep telling me. So different levels, I would say, per se. But yeah, I think there's opportunity for it too. I think the AFL really needs to make it easier to learn, and I'm going to try to help that. I think towards the back end of my career, and hopefully post-career, is being able to describe and explain it in a good way for Americans to understand it. That's probably where it struggles because it is so unique and different from anything else people have seen, that no one's really been able to market it in the right way to the US, and it is tough. Like we talked about before, it's tough to explain AFL rules.
Yeah,
like they change every week, every year it changes. Man, the mark rules change about 6 times in the last years.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a 360 game. It's not a offense v defense running at each other. It's anything can happen at all times, and that means that there's a lot of different permutations, right?
Yeah.
So you reckon it needs to be simplified? Like just the way it's explained, or actually like the US version be a simplified version of what they say?
No, I mean, like they've tried with the rectangular field, to make it more accessible for Americans and things like that with AFLX, as they tried previously.
Bring it back.
That was wild. That was just essentially a super duper commercial. And super duper goal.
Oh my
It's
God.
like wild, but didn't know what a super duper was till AFLX.
You do now.
I do now.
That was our childhood, Mason. Super dupers, mate.
Yeah, I didn't have that. He's just how good though. Like we had something similar, and you always just cut the edge of your lip,
Yeah.
feel it.
Just really just want to suck every little bit of juice out of that thing.
American game.
American game. Yeah, super dupers. So I think, and I've said this like recently. I'll take a more kind of recent example, like high tackles. Right, we talk about high tackles, and we change the ruling from one person to another, or we say, all of a sudden we're going to change it mid-season. It needs to be something that's very concrete, of black and white, factual, yes or no.
Yeah.
And if you hit someone in the head, unfortunately, that's a free kick. Whether you agree with it or not, whether someone tried to get it to you or not, like that's just how the game is adjudicated. We can't have it so opinionated. I feel like it's so opinionated based on the umpiring, which makes it impossible for an umpire to be right.
Interpretation, right?
Yeah.
It's reliant on how an umpire interprets something, rather than if you get touched high, it doesn't matter if you're lying on the ground, throwing your arm up, doing whatever you want. If you get hit higher, it's a free kick.
That's how it should be, I think. And that's the best way. Otherwise, you're going to sit there and how do you justify opinions whenever they're going to be different depending on the person it is?
I mean, like growing up with the game, I think I actually agree with you. Like, the Jack Ginnivan stuff's happened this week, which I don't know how he's become the poster boy. I mean, Joel Selwood, Luke Shuey, there's multiple guys who've been doing that for...
Dude's played 19 games.
Yeah,
making the AFL
literally
shit
10
themselves.
years. Yeah, correct. And like, it's actually nothing about him. And they've brought in a rule that means that umpires have to interpret the game more, which, as you know, is a very difficult thing to do. If there's so many things happen, for the umpire to try and tell what you're thinking, Mason, which sometimes you make that obvious, you let them know with your arms and whatever you're telling them to do. But
Like the whole scene to say.
more than likely, the umpire doesn't know what the actual player is trying to do. So I agree with you. It's very good. On that last bit, this is the very last question. Pat McAfee show. Big fan over here. That's actually how I sort of started following your media work and stuff. I was like, fucking Mason Cox is on the fucking Pat McAfee show. Fuck you. I mean, what was that experience like? That's huge. That's the biggest podcast in the world. Joe Rogan potentially, but sports podcast.
Yeah.
Big time.
Big time.
And he was a Collingwood fan.
Yeah, well, it kind of had to be because there's only one American playing in the league. So it's kind of like he didn't really have an option.
Yes.
He really got into it during quarantine. I told the AFL, I'm not going to get into it too much because I was quite frustrated with the way they kind of handled it, but it was the best opportunity for the AFL to ever market themselves overseas.
Of course it is.
There was no other sport being played in the world. People were striving for sport during this whole lockdown and everything else, and the AFL was the only people playing, and they just shat the bed.
Really?
And I understand there was things going on, like they obviously had to take back and make cuts and everything else, but there was never going to be a better opportunity in the lifetime that the AFL will have.
Live stream that thing across the world.
100%. Do it for free.
Yeah.
Like, make people interested, make them start betting on it. Like, I had people like reaching out to me who were like, hey, the Kangaroos and Demons, are the Kangaroos any good? And I'm like, nah, mate. Nah, just maybe the other one. So there's things like that where I think it was a great opportunity for people to like get introduced into the AFL.
Yeah.
And they just didn't really take it. And Pat McAfee and myself, talking back and forth, I was working on trying to get him to actually come out to here and go to the grand final. And it's crazy because he's obviously come from NFL background, being a punter.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of Aussies doing that reverse over there. But the season for NFL actually runs almost perfectly for IFL season. The season of NFL finishes, AFL season starts, and during that gap of no NFL is essentially whenever IFL is played. So there's no better experience or no better opportunity, I think, to be able to get into that U.S. market than the way the AFL is set up right now. And yeah, it's something I'm going to look to try to do on post-career, hopefully. And I can't really talk too much trash about the AFL because I'm probably going to hope they hire me.
Yeah.
So
that's your boss, mate. So just be careful.
And Gil's not going to be my boss as of next year, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. You're talking my language with Pat McAfee, so it sounds like you're going back and forth. If by any chance they wanted to show some Western love, I would do anything. He's been a huge motivator for us here at BackChat.
Yeah.
And not that we're anything like Pat McAfee, but just, I guess his work rate, like I've been able to see, he's doing, a show every day. Like we do 4 shows a week now. So we do preview, review, and we do BackChat and a guest interview. So, that work rate element, that everyday streaming side of things, is a different audience here in Australia, but like he's been a huge motivator for me. So if you want to just flick me his number after this show, that'd be very nice, and just so I can get in contact. Or even better, maybe you act as the Pat, meet Will meet Pat. That would be, okay, I've won a premiership, right? I'm not going to trade him a premiership.
I get it. I understand, Will. I know.
I'm not going to
I was there. We get it.
I'm not going to give you...
Premiership player, I get it. Where's your medal?
I'm not going to give you my medal, but if I could, I would, to get with Pat McAfee.
Huge, just to meet him.
Yeah.
You'd give me your premiership medal.
No, I'm not going
to. I was about to say, this is literally recorded. You realize that, right? I was like...
You get me on Pat McAfee show and
I'll say this.
We'll talk.
If I can convince the AFL to get Pat McAfee over for a grand final, I'll make an introduction for him.
Man. That's a deal.
Guaranteed.
Good work. Thank you very much for your time, mate. Know that you're a busy man. You're still playing with Collingwood. We tried to make you at home as possible with the Collingwood flag. Charlie's brought that along. Thank you very much, Charlie. Thank you for your time, mate.
No worries.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, and glad to see you doing big things, man.
Very good. Mason Cox there. BackChat _ across all socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit. Don't know what's happening there. Backchatpodcast.com.au. You can find all of our things there. Thanks to our supporters, our sponsors, Whippersapper Whiskey, Shelter, Bluebet, Margaret River Roasting Co., and of course, Leaderville Cameras, our patrons. We love you. Hopefully enjoying the action over here from BackChat Melbourne. I'm not sure when this is going to be aired, but hopefully the big fella here is in the team, playing for Collingwood, searching for finals. Thanks, mate.